All right, what is up, my trailblazers? It is your boy Rockman Zonia here with another Honkai Star Rail video. Ooh, man, they cooked so hard with the 2.7 program and the version 3.0 marketing. Ooh, there is so much to unpack. I have been at it with my boys at the lore table on Discord and just discussions all around, even on Twitter, just breaking things down. Which I'm probably going to try to record some videos regarding that. But what I want to do, and it's something I was actually going to wait until version 3.0 started. I want to talk about the standard characters for Honkai Star Rail. As you can see here, they announced that starting at 2.7, which is in about a week, 2 weeks, week and a half. As soon as we log in, we can claim a permanent 5-star character from the standard banner, right? And we have until version 3.2 to get the permanent 5-star character. Now, if we remember going back last year, when they gave Dr. Ratio out for free, we had until that patch and all the way until the end of 2.1 to get Dr. Ratio. I mean, all you had to do was just unlock the mailbox, which I'm pretty sure this is going to be the same thing. Just unlock the mailbox and you can get your character, right? Now is a really good time to talk about who do we get, and not only who do we get, but we can take a look at to how these characters are still looking, even going into version 2.0, which will be the 3.0, which will be the game's second anniversary, and 2 years running into the game. Now, of course, some fall off is expected. We have all of these new limited units, and even a lot of free 4-star units that provide really powerful abilities and contribute to the current game state and meta in their own ways. And while many can say, "Oh, well, these characters are so much better. These characters are so much better." I mean, like, meta and subjectively speaking, yes. But if we take a more objective look at things, a lot of these characters are still strong, and that is because of the way Honkai Star Rail's progression works in terms of power creep. When people normally hear the word power creep, it's often associated in a negative light. When we think power creep, we think the appearance. Excuse me. We think the appearance of like content either being like a character or a light cone that provides so much more value compared to it's like character A or light cone. Character A is here, character B comes out, they seemingly provide so much more value to character compared to character A that it just feels like character A is weaker and like useless in some regard, right? Now, in power creep's an inevitability, right? We're going to eventually see complete fall off. Characters just becoming no longer optimal in as the game state progresses. It doesn't mean they aren't usable. They just don't hold the value that they used to hold. Now we also know this as aging for these characters, and the way a character ages will determine how long they remain valuable for. Some characters age very quickly, which is more of a bad thing. If characters age more slowly, that can be that would be a good thing, because no, that gives people more reason to hold on to these characters, or in a case like this, it becomes more influential in who to pick. Like for example, I wouldn't consider YANQING a character who has aged gracefully, in my opinion. YANQING has been a weird character out the gate. I mean, even though at the beginning he's a really strong 5-star ice hunt character. And like, if built correctly, he was a crit monster. Like he just absolutely dominated. The problem with a character like YANQING is like his kit has some glaring flaws that only became more apparent as the game progressed. Like, most of this is great. Like, his trace abilities are good. His ultimate is rather strong. I mean, his skill was rather plain, but you know, the point of it is to activate his soul steel sync, right? But then, like, when we get to his soul steel sync, like, this is where one of the glaring issues with YANQING arises. Like, when soul steel sync is active, YANQING is less likely to be attacked by enemies. This is cool. You think cool? That means, you know, less likely that he gets hit, right? He gets a crit rate and a crit damage increase, and then there's a 60% fixed chance after he attacks to launch a follow-up attack, which also has a 65% base chance to freeze the enemy for 1 turn. Like, all of this sounds cool. But then like, here's the caveat: if YANQING receives damage, Soul Steel Sync disappears, and then he has to E 1 more time in order to do it. And keep in mind, Soul Steel Sync only lasts for 1 turn. And his dupe abilities don't exactly help mitigate that glaring weakness. Like, besides maybe his E6, right? So, like, how did we, how did we really use a character like YANQING back in the day? Well, you kind of have to baby him, and like, you have to keep him from actually taking damage. And how do we do that? We needed to rely on shield characters, right? So, we're talking March 7th, GEPARD, not Fu Xuan so much, because Fu Xuan doesn't provide shields. This also kind of harkens to the point. Like, Fu Xuan is not a good sustain for him, because she doesn't prevent YANQING from taking damage. She only apportions damage to herself so that he's not taking as much. But then we have the goat adventuring. You might notice I didn't really like point out the Trailblazer at first. Because honestly, Preservation Trailblazer is good as they were. With their taunts, their shield generation isn't the best at all. Like, even March 7th has more reliable shield generation. And like, GEPARD can easily keep the party keep the party immortal, right? With his shield, if he's built correctly. Like my GEPARD was sitting over here like over 4,000 defense, and has is giving out the craziest shields on his ult. But of course, that's also one of his problems, that he only gives out the party shield on ult. which means like you're giving him an energy rope, which is fine because GEPARD generates a cracked amount of energy off of his E. So it's no problem getting GEPARD to his ult, and it also helps that GEPARD has an innate hate attraction, which makes enemies more likely to target him. If you combine that with GEPARD's light cone, which also increases the likelihood that the wearer is attacked. Moment of Victory is one of my favorite light cones in this game. It's extremely busted. Defense increase, effect hit rate increase, increases likelihood of being attacked, increases defense once you're attacked. It's a really solid standard light cone overall, and really suitable to GEPARD. And the effect hit rate actually does matter, because for GEPARD is probably the one character in the game with the only consistently reliable source of freeze, because his E provides it's the same 65% base chance, but in his case he doesn't need to do any like a follow-up attack in order to impose the freeze. He just needs to cast E. And when you factor in the effect hit rate, we're looking at a near 90% chance to freeze. Now my GEPARD right now is at E3. So we look at his E1 increasing the base chance to freeze by 35%. That gives his freeze chance that bumps his freeze chance to 100%. And once his freeze wears off, the opponent gets a speed reduction. So he somewhat helped YANQING a bit, but like needing to avoid damage completely in order to maintain your core gimmick isn't exactly a mechanic I'm a fan of in this current environment, especially now that we have enemies with blast, we have enemies with a lot more AoE, and there's even in some cases where there's specific targeting. So like the longer the game goes on, like the more the issues with YANQING just get more in your face. So I feel like for all that you need in order for YANQING to function properly as a character, he's one of the weaker standard 5-star characters in this banner. Like even the likes of CLARA still has more value in my opinion, and we're going to talk about that. But first, I want to go over to BAILU now. Look, let's just get it out the way. In terms of abundance, I mean, BAILU and Natasha being like at the bottom, which honestly we can comfortably put them there. I mean, like any of these 5 choices are just better, objectively better options. But what in BAILU's case, what sort of keeps her alive a bit instead of fully aging out. And I've been saying this for the longest, like the true power creep in this game are with light cones, and Ho-Ho's light cone carries all of abundance. Every abundance character not named Luocha gets carried by this light cone. Like even Natasha gets a lifeline because of this light cone. Like we got energy regeneration. We have targeted healing, and then we get an attack boost off healing. And it's not to say that every other abundance light cone was bad, but like this light cone is tailor made for Luocha, and ironically, it's actually really good on Linksha. I actually like this more on Linksha than Linksha's actual icon. I put this one on Gallagher. But time waits for no one. It's okay. You know, we got max HP, got outgoing healing boost. You know, we're not going to say no to that. But then like we have this really interesting mechanic where like the amount of outgoing healing is recorded, and it turns into additional damage. And it's same type as where, so you know, lightning, if it's a lightning abundance, then it'll be additional lightning damage. But it's like this isn't affected by this isn't affected by buffs, and it's like a one-time per turn thing. So like as soon as the ally attacks, it's just boom, additional damage. So this didn't exactly have much of an impact on things, but you know, we took this, right? And for how long it took for us to start getting more abundance characters. I mean, look, we only have 4 abundance light cones. Even, you know, we even compare that to having only 3 3 limited preservation light cones, because no, we're not going to talk about this. You know, abundance and preservation have been, you know, kind of on the lower end of support, which makes these light cones and even like some of these 4-star light cones are like, hey, over here is really good. What is real was extremely good for Gallagher. And so was shared feeling, post-op conversation, quid pro quo. Like some, like a lot of these were not bad. But when Huoho's Lycon came out, like that completely changed the game for abundance characters, making them even stronger. Like going back to Night of Fright, like you gain passive healing just off of anybody using their ultimate. And considering how easy it is to just ult spam these days, like this comes in clutch. It means like you don't have to wait for like Natasha or BAILU to ult. You can like so your DPS ult's healing comes along. And since this counts as character provided healing, this has resonance with abundance blessings in simulated universe, right? With all those, when a character provides healing, grant this effect. So in that regard, like BAILU gets carried by that, but we still can't act like she's a priority when we have all of this. Like I would recommend Gallagher over BAILU in my opinion. Like that's how much I feel BAILU has sort of has already aged. I mean, she hasn't completely aged out, but she's definitely going to be getting there at some point. Like once we start filling out more of abundance, like at some point we're just gonna be like, just don't care for BAILU. Like people equate her to like getting spooked by Chi-Chi in Genshin Impact. I've never agreed with the notion. Like I've always felt BAILU had a lot more lasting power, and even her dupe abilities are somewhat lifelines. She can, she gets a second revival in battle, boosts her own outgoing healing, giving additional energy regen, and even boosting her healing potency. Her dupe abilities aren't bad, and her trace abilities are relatively strong too. But it's just being able to keep up in the current game state. At the very least, her ultimate is a heal, so she can emergency turn cut, like when the enemies have multiple actions coming up consecutively. She can still come in with this. So in terms of like who we get with this ticket, I'm just gonna be straight up. It's really gonna depend on who you have. But in terms of priority, like I already put BAILU and YANQING at the very bottom in terms of priority. So let's go ahead and we'll go ahead and look at Clara now. Like Clara's still a really good character. She's really strong. I still use her even today. And one point I also want to make here is when it comes to power creep, Clara got buffed when Yunli came out. Like people talking, oh, Yunli so good. Bye bye Clara. No, because you know what you did. You just pulled Dance at Sunset, and you gave it to Clara. Greatly increases chance of getting attacked, increases crit damage, and then when using ultimate, get a stack of Fire Dance, and then Fire Dance increases follow up attack damage. Like this was a complete upgrade for Clara, especially in terms of damage. Like you know what this flight cone did? This makes Clara really strong in content like Pure Fiction. Or if the weaknesses lined up, she could still be really good in Memory of Chaos. So like I would, and not to mention her E hits everything. And you know what that also synergizes with? Let's go have a look here. Where is it? This synergizes with Jade. Because Jade can make Clara a debt collector, and Clara's just swinging against everything. And when Clara's getting hit, she's either hitting one enemy, or if her ultimate buff is active, then she gains that blast counter, and now she's giving Jade 3 charges instead of 1. And if Jade herself is at E1, it changes the way her charges work. So like hitting one enemy gives Jade an additional 2 points of a charge, or if like 2 enemies are hit, she gains an additional 1 point. Like this is meant to help her make more single target characters valuable on her team. Like I know you've seen some of my other gameplay videos where Fei Xiao and Jade are, or even like Jade and Lingsha has just been looping constantly, and Jade's triggering her follow attack for days. It's because of this. And that makes Clara valuable as a character because she can constantly be triggering Jade's follow up attack, and not to mention she herself is a follow up counter character. So Yunli being out gives Clara massive value, and this is the positive of power creep, because good power creep will add value instead of decreasing the value. So rather than looking at it, oh, Yunli's out, Clara's no longer that good. No, Yunli's out, Clara got better because Yunli came out. And that's what we want. That's what we look at when it comes to these characters, right? So for Clara, what's my Clara at? I think my Clara's at E2. So we're looking at E not removing the counter marks and getting an attack boost off of using ultimate. The E6 is pretty strong too. So like if you were sitting at an E5 Clara, using that free to get Clara to E6, that would be a really strong move. Like I wouldn't discourage that. Oh, and then like look, she gets damage reduction after she gets hit on her E4, right? Like Clara has a lot of lasting power, right? Like she can dispel debuffs on herself. She has counter increase. She has a bit of CC resistance. Like Clara's kit is extremely solid, which is why she continues to be a powerful character even in the current game state. And as stated, Yunli buffed her, and she's really good. She's really good with Jade, and this is the kind of stuff we want to see with these characters, right? So with that being said, let's look at my boy Gepard. I've already kind of talked about him a bit, but Gepard was a heavily slept on character at release. People like, oh, Gepard's not really that great. And hell, there were even content creators who I used to follow back in the early days, be like, oh man, I don't really like Gepard that much. But like for some way, something convinced them to use Gepard, and then they're like, oh my god, Gepard's so good. Yeah, it's almost like Gepard is a solidly built character too. I mean, let's not sleep on the fact that he has freeze on E, and freeze itself is another form of sustain. It may not be a fast, consistent form of sustain, but it contributes greatly, especially when you're able to freeze those really dangerous enemies like the Ebb Abundance Deer, or even like the freaking Maestro Trio, especially them, saying, "Oh, I'm gonna hit you with dots all day," or we're gonna hit this team ult and just deal insane amounts of damage." Like, Gepard has carried me through modes like Swarm Disaster and even Golden Gears, because the ability, like especially Golden Gears, once they started introducing the whole torture difficulty system, like the what you commonly see in other roguelike games. Like I remember struggling to find a clear strat in one of the higher difficulties. I think I was on Torture 5 with that, and I found a preservation strat with Quake, and Gepard was MVP in that strat. Gepard was MVP in that strat. Like his shield generation is so cracked. Like I still consider him, like, even with adventuring out, Gepard is still like up there as a shield generator. Like, we have adventuring. Adventuring is the GOAT. I like adventuring, but like we can't pretend Gepard is not good because adventuring's here. Like, nah, Gepard hasn't fallen off at all. Like when I be hitting my clears on the simulated universe mode, like Gepard literally just says, "Oh no, we're not getting hit at all. Good luck killing us." Or hell, even good luck killing him, since Gepard has self revive when he gets killed. He brings himself back. Like, you can't sleep on that either. And when you combine that with like the erudition blessing to revive yourself by giving up your energy, or even the destruction blessing that revives you one time, like that gives Gepard 3 total revives. Like which is insane for a character like him who is still so good. And even like adventuring brought some value to Gepard. As Adventure's light cone is pretty good for Gepard. The only problem is, like, it's more so tailor made for adventuring. So Gepard can't exactly use this to full capacity, because I mean, obviously Gepard doesn't do follow-up attacks. And Gepard's Gepard's shield generation is not consistent enough to really let this effect give the impact that it should be able to give. Because Gepard gives a shield to everybody. His follow-up attack generates shield. His ult generates shield. Like, adventuring has just so much shield generation that this ability right here is insane. So I would consider this like maybe a partial buff to him, but maybe not like maybe not the true buff that GEPARD is looking for. But in terms of this ticket, I would consider GEPARD a good target to pick. And even so, like going back to Clara is a really good target to pick as well. So with that being said, let's go ahead and move on here to Bronya, right? Bronya is so crazy, and I'm telling you, there's a reason. There's the whole joke in the community, in the Honkai community, that Bronya is MiHoYo's daughter, because like there's just so much Bronya love throughout the Honkai games. There's no escaping the allegations, right? And Bronya's kit is really strong, even with us having access to all of this in Harmony, right? Even with us having access to all of this in Harmony, like even Hanya and even Tingyun, like Bronya is extremely strong. Bronya is still too strong. Like people look at Sparkle like, oh my, Sparkle is just better Bronya. Well, yes and no. Like Sparkle is focused completely on delivering the powerful crit damage boost to the team. But like, let's not pretend 50% AV is on par with 100% in being able to take action. Like the only thing that really made it stand out is that her traceability turned Sparkle's E into a 2-turn effect, but that's just the equivalent of Bronya being at E6. Because Bronya at E6 does the same thing. The damage boost of her E is extended to 2 turns. So like, okay, in E0 Sparkle versus in E6 Bronya, it's like, okay, cool. We can go ahead and make that argument, but Sparkle's primary gimmick was to be an SP answer, because think about it. During that time, we had characters like Imbibitor and Jingwen and even in some cases, like even with like Jingyu, like these comps that we needed to sort of be more SP mindful on, even with Hanya being out as an SP answer. Sparkle was more definitively that SP answer. Like Sparkle was the best character for D-Hill, like straight up. But even then, there were some characters, there are some DPS units who will still want Bronya over Sparkle. One of such being Blade. Bronya was always Blade's best partner for the longest, and that didn't change when Sparkle came out. It's more like, Sparkle and Bronya served 2 separate purposes as Harmony characters. I mean, obviously Sparkle is better for quantum support. And her dupe abilities are insanely powerful. But at the same time, let's also look at what Bronya does. Like Bronya has the immediate turn advancement on E. She dispels the debuff, which keep in mind, this is huge, because that means we're dispelling stuff like Frozen, Quantum Implosion, Imprisonment. That lets us get rid of dots, unique debuffs. The only thing this doesn't cure are debuffs that are unremovable, because there are some like that persist in the game. And it's like we're giving the crit damage boost here on top of giving an attack boost. Now the attack boost still matters a lot. Still matters a lot in the current game state. Like you can get a lot of mileage out of this attack boost. And then Bronya advancing herself off of basic attack means she gets to her turn faster. She gets to her next turn faster. And keep in mind, like, Bronya doesn't always want to E. Bronya doesn't always want to E. Although in the current game set with what we have, Bronya gets a lot more. She gets a lot more opportunities to use her E. But if she, in the instance of her, needing to use her basic attack, this at least gets her to her next turn faster. If we don't have to worry about advancing the DPS, right? Her technique provides an attack boost. She has a passive defense boost at the start of battle for 2 turns. This is not exactly relevant, but there are some ways to take advantage of this. Passive 10% damage boost to the whole team. And then let's also look. No, she had this 50% SP recovery on E. Does have a 1-turn cooldown. I mean, we do see characters with cooldown effects, so it's like, this isn't that much of a demerit. And then she gives a speed boost on E2. E4 is where Bronya gets extremely cracked in the current game environment. Like, oh my god, when you're fighting enemies, bosses with wind weakness, like we're talking with March in play, Topaz in play, because Topaz, all she does is basic attack. And then like we're talking Jade enhanced basic attack when she designates a deck collector, because that's all she can do. We're talking Fue. She can only basic when she's she can only enhance basic when she's on E. Like, it's pretty, in the follow-up attack works exactly like Kafka's. Like, she hits the follow-up attack, then she has to wait till her upcoming turn to reset. But then think about what something like this means in simulated universe with the aftertaste damage mechanic, or with the elation mechanics that delay enemy turns when they get hit by follow-up attacks. Like, E4 gives Bronya so much more value, especially in those game modes, or even in Memory of Chaos and Pure Fiction modes when follow-up attack mechanics exist, because there have been rotations where we get effects based on follow-up attacks. This E4 will capitalize on all of that. And then let's just not forget, E6 gives her E an additional turn. So the damage increase is up to 2 turns. And so in terms of value and power creep, like Sparkle really didn't power creep Bronya. And to be honest, no one in Harmony really has, until the GOAT, the man, the myth, the Harmony, my man Sunday. Sunday just said, look, all y'all can take a break. I'm here now. Look, Sunday is the buff Bronya has been waiting for. Because let's go. Let's look at this. Look at this freaking Lycon. Look at this freaking Lycon, right? This Lycon problem solves Bronya. And like let's look at all these other Lycons, right? Bronya can't really use this. She can't really use Earthly Escapade. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. She can't really use Earthly Escapade. She doesn't have enough SP recovery. She doesn't have enough SP recovery to really make this part stand out. Like she doesn't do that. Like Sparkle ults one time, and this is automatically online because her ult restores 4 SP, and you know, you restore 4 SP, you get 4 stacks of Radiant Flame, and you regain Mask for 4 turns. And you know, we also don't see Mask increases crit rate as well as crit damage. Bronya can't capitalize on this, not as much as Sparkle. This was tailor made for Sparkle, and this is also the complicated situation of light cones, where there are some light cones that are just made for specific characters and aren't really that usable on anybody else. Like Hanya can use this light cone better than Bronya can. By comparison. So if anything, like, this was more of a buff to Hanya than it was to Bronya, right? Flowing Nightingale's okay. I've tried it on Bronya. Having the stacking energy regeneration is cool. Helping Bronya get to her ult faster. But it's like getting the attack boost off of the condenser buff, like, this is useless on Bronya. And it's like the increased 24% damage to the whole party for 1 turn. That's fine, but this Lycone overall, not that great. I would still use this over Sparkle. I would use this over Sparkles. Past Self and Mirror, you would look at this, it's like, why we put Break Effect on Bronya? If you saw the Who Lays a Fraud video that I posted, and I will make a reference to that in this video, you will see the video card show up. I actually managed to get Bronya to use this effectively, although it's only because I had this at S5 and because it's giving 100% break effect stat. But like, if you can get Bronya's break effect stat to 150, like, this light cone is actually rather strong. Giving the damage boost on ultimate for 3 turns, and then having an SP recovery on ult, and then the energy regeneration at the start of waves. Like, this is an insanely cracked light cone if you can make it work. Like, even at S1, you just need to have Bronya's break effect at 90%. I guess that means rolling break effect in substats, but obviously if you have more dupes, that lowers the overall requirement. But like, just because this is more like of a niche thing, don't discount this potency. This is hidden tech, and Bronya is a character all about hidden tech. There's so much hidden tech to discover with Bronya, even in the current game state, and a lot of people don't talk about it. Like, no one's ever talked about using this with Bronya, because obviously you look at it and it's like, why don't we use this on Bronya? I just randomly had the idea to do so, because I'm like, because I was just looking at stats, and I'm like, hold on, my Bronya's break effect stat is it's like 56 for some reason. I wonder if I put this light cone on, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, this light cone is cracked, which also proves that Rame's light cone is extremely cracked. Even Trailblazer uses this light cone. But like, moving on to like her signature, the battle isn't over. She's got the energy regeneration rate, and then regenerates a skill point when they're using ultimate on an ally. The caveat is, it's like every 2 uses of the ultimate does it. And then on E, the next ally taking action deals more damage. Obviously her E is making someone go next, and that person's going to deal more damage. So it's like, this has been a solid light cone for Bronya, but we have to look at something here. This Sunday's light cone is a direct upgrade to this. Where you use skill ultimate on one ally, regenerate 6 energy, and grant him for 3 turns, which can be stacked. And him increases damage by 15%. So that we're talking about a 45% damage boost if you can get him stacked up fully. And then after every 2 instances of skill or ultimate, the wearer uses on one allied character recover 1 skill point. Like this fixes a lot of Bronya. This fixes Bronya. You know, and then we combine that with Saceros. We combine that with this. Like this makes Bronya, like this has made Bronya even better. You know, I switched over to Lushaka. This has been really good on Bronya. You know, gives her the energy regeneration rate increase. And then no, obviously don't put her in slot 1. Put your DPS in slot 1, you know, and give that attack increase. That's really good. I've actually come to like this this ornament set a lot more than when I initially reviewed it. Like in my earlier videos, I think that's when I was talking about Fei Xiao, Mose, and Linksha. Yeah. I think that was right. I think this came out. This was out around that time, so I was talking about this every now and then. But like this Lycon is actually pretty. Damn it! This ornament set is actually pretty insane. So like with that being said, Bronya is still here. Like she's still, in my opinion, she's one of the top characters to pick with this Lycon. I mean, to pick with this ticket. Why do I keep saying Lycon? She's one. So I keep talking about Lycons. Like even with Sunday coming out, that's all the more reason to get Bronya. Because Sunday is the buff she's been waiting for. Like every one of these characters has been waiting for a buff. And said buffs they typically come from other limited characters. Like Ho-Ho was BAILU's buff. Fei Xiao, I would actually consider Fei Xiao to be more in YANQING's buff compared to other hunt characters. Yunli was Clara's buff, and Sunday is Bronya's buff. You can, I wouldn't say Adventuring is GEPARD's true buff. We're going to need to get another preservation character for that. Like even Fu Shui, I don't really consider to be that much of a buff to GEPARD. Like we just haven't had a character that's just straight raw like GEPARD. Like which is kind of what actually keeps him a valuable character, because he still has a niche that that hasn't been like retrained in a way. So anywho, that leaves us with WELT, and that leaves us with HIMEKO. So let's go and talk about my boy WELT, the bridge between Honkai Impact and Honkai Star Rail. Man, I really do want to see Tesla and Einstein just at some point. Even if I have to wait until we find Honkai Impact's Earth, which they teased in the documentary of that Sparkle collaboration, because you know what they said, right? If we write the story of WELT finding his home for the collaboration, they can't write it in the main story. Hint. Anywho, my boy WELT. Well, we gotta talk about him. I believe my WELT is still sitting at E2. It's still sitting at E2. WELT's been one of those characters who, with some insane lasting power. Granted, like his slow debuff isn't as valuable as it used to be. But that doesn't stop him from being like an insanely powerful character. Has his E is strong with the bounce. He has the imprisonment, which called for the action delay and reduced speed. He gets additional damage when enemies are slowed still. And even though like he capitalizes on weakness break. And then he also has the chance of granting damage vulnerability. I think he was like the first instance of granting damage vulnerability from a source. and then using ultimate gives him more energy back. It's like, cool, this is a really solid kit, right? But what really makes Welt insane are his dupes. Like, you get like at E6, just this one extra bounce on his E. It sounds so simple. He just gets one extra hit, but that one extra hit makes the biggest difference, because that's an extra proc chance for slow. And then keep in mind, if his talent is triggered, no, which is his when hitting an enemy that's already slowed. So no, if he procs slow on his E, and then that E's bounce hits the same enemy, he gets more energy. If you combine this with energy rope, Welt's just ulting left and right. And see, this E1, if you have Welt right now and he's at E0, I'm about to make a case for you picking Welt with this ticket. I'm about to make the case right now. And that case comes down to one relic. Scholar. Scholar is insane on an E1 Welt. And I'm going to tell you why. Because let's look at what his E1 does. Welt gets enhanced on his ultimate. The next 2 times he uses basic attack or skill, deal 1 extra instance of additional damage. And the additional damage of basic attack is half of his basic attack multiplier. The additional damage of E is 80% of the skill damage multiplier. Let's look at what Scholar does. It gets a crit rate boost, right? It increases the damage dealt by skill and by ult. And after using ultimate, it additionally increases the damage by the next skill usage. So keep in mind, Welt gets enhanced for 2 extra attacks. He gets, for his next 2 attacks, Welt's enhanced at E1 after getting ultimate. So he's dealing an additional instance of damage if he uses his E. That additional damage is going to be influenced by these multipliers. So like, we're talking 20% additional damage to skill, 25% additional damage to skill after ultimate. That's 45% additional damage to an E1 Welt. If you have Welt at E0, Welt has the strongest case to get this ticket. Welt has the strongest case to get this ticket. And let's talk about going back to light cones here. Like, Name of the World's good, Incessant Rain's good. We don't use this. We obviously don't use this. We don't use this either. Right? In terms of limited light cones, Incessant Rain is probably like the closest we were ever getting to like really using Welt, because Silver Wolf is basically a debilitator like Welt. So her light cone made a lot more sense to use with him. But see, you want to know what light cone really turbos him out? Acheron's light cone. Acheron's light cone along the passing shore. When I got the light cone to S5, I pulled an additional copy of this light cone. And in fact, it gave me 2 additional copies when I went to pull for another one. I gave one to Welt. This shit's insane. Crit damage boost. And see, I was talking about this in Acheron's rerun video. Like, whether or not, you want to pull for Acheron or you're going to pull for the light cone. Like, this light cone is where the bulk of Acheron's damage came from. So if this light cone had has that much of an impact on Acheron's character, just imagine the impact it would have on a character like Welt. We get a crit damage increase. No other light cone gives that. We get the Mirage Fizzle debuff. Keep in mind, Mirage Fizzle gives additional 24% damage and increases ult damage. So we combine that with stuff like the Scholar set. And we combine that with the Scholar set. And like WELT at E1 is extremely, it's just extremely cracked. E2 is just not. WELT might have the most lasting power out of like any of these I wouldn't say out of any of the standard characters, but it has been said that WELT could easily outlast many 5-star characters in this game, including limited ones. And it's because of the value that he's gained that solidifies that and actually makes that more true than it used to be before. Like Acheron being a buff to him, and now we have to do scholar set, and then even in terms of relics, I mean not relics but ornaments, he can still use most of these, although I'm using Inner South Soto on him right now. I'm sure we lose out on this, but I'm trying to get that. I'm all about that ultimate right now. Although if you want to focus more on his E, then this would be an overall better pick, especially because we get that skill attack, but we get that skill boost, and we really want Welt to E. We really want Welt to E when possible. So like this with Scholar, with Acheron's Lycone, and then Welt at E1. This dude's insane. This dude is insane. It's crazy how good Welt still is in the current game state. Like we're not talking top tier, or we're not talking tiers at all. We're just talking about how how good he still is, generally speaking. And we're trying to really pin down, like making cases for who to get with this ticket, right? So that's Welt. So now let's go ahead and look at my baby, my girl. I'm so happy that I get to actually play a game where you're alive. You're still alive. Even though Peanut Coney gave me a scare. I was gonna cuss Shaoji out if Himeko died. But I'm glad she didn't. Now, we kind of need to talk about Himeko. Himeko is kind of a complicated character. Not terribly complicated, but not terribly complicated, but it's just kind of weird, right? And we're gonna get into that. Like Himeko was also rather underrated when the game first came out. Because at first glance it just don't seem like she does much, right? I mean, her E has blast, cool. Her ult hits all, and she gets extra energy for any enemy she kills through that. Now, it's really her follow-up attack that was the main talk of her charm. And a lot of people didn't know. And even to this day, like, because I've mentioned this a few times, like in discussions, and a lot of people don't know that Himeko has a hidden mechanic that her kit doesn't talk about, and even the game doesn't explain it, even with her trial, in that her talent. No, when enemies inflicted with weakness break, Himeko gains 1 point charge, max 3 points. If you break an elite or a boss, she gets the full charge. Nothing in this kit explains that. Nothing in this kit explains that. Nothing in this kit explains that. Like, this is something you just had to discover. I'm like, hold on, you mean tell me we got a character with a hidden game mechanic, secret game mechanics? That is what really makes Himeko busted. Especially in the current game state. Like even like Pure Fiction or or Memory of Chaos. Like, you know how easy it is to break enemies, and how much easier it would even get to break enemies once we get Fugaway. In fact, if you watch the 2.7 live stream when they were showcasing Fugaway, guess what the team was? It was Himeko as the main DPS. And guess who Fugaway gave her buff to? She gave it to Himeko. I was like, oh, I see what you guys did there. Because keep in mind, Bakshi Prayer grants rainbow toughness damage. Right here. And I don't know if y'all played like it was one of the more recent rotations of Pure Fiction where ults could deal rainbow toughness. Like you put Himeko on that, you're her ult, everything just gets broken, and then she proceeds to kill everything. Like Himeko is easily like a rather straightforward character. And I guess that's one of the main reasons she gets slept on so much, because she's really straightforward and simple. But oh man, and like I really like this. I really wish more characters had effects that targeted current HP, because you know what this means? Like at any point, if her HP percentage is 80% or higher, she gets this crit rate boost. So let's say she's sitting at like 75% HP, and like at the start of turn, she gets healed. Or even like if she initiates an attack and that attack heals her as she's initiating the attack, and it puts her to 80% or higher, it automatically triggers the crit rate boost. Like, and you'll be able to see it when you see her attack, because you'll see the crit rate icon show up on her HP. And then as she's still attacking, you'll see it constantly refreshing itself, because her current HP is 80% or higher. Like, I really wish we would see more abilities like this, because current HP percentage is so insane. Like just having a current stat check is just so insane. Dealing more damage to enemies with burn. Nah, you know who that also ties us to? Ties us to Jiaochu, because Ashen Rose is considered burn, and because Ashen Rose is considered burn, Gwyneth can take advantage of anything that's burn related, and just off of that proof alone, that gives Himeko an avenue to deal more damage. And then 50% base chance to burn off of any attack. So that's basic, E, ult, like I said, this is a really straightforward kit. Her dupe abilities, none of this needs that either. She's getting that speed increase when she triggers follow-up attack. Getting her turn back more often. And then she's got that sort of killer passive, where anyone who's 50% or less HP, she's dealing more damage to. She's out to kill you even faster. When Himeko's skill inflicts weakness break, she gains 1 extra point of charge. Like this is really strong, especially at the start of a fight when she already has 1 point of charge. So she E's one time, breaks, instant follow-up attack. And this is really useful in Pure Fiction, and even more so in Pure Fiction if we're tagging Fugaway along for the ride, right? So right off the bat, we already have some insane value just looking at the synergy between these two characters. you know, we have this synergy between two characters off rip giving all of this support, right? And then going to her E6, her ultimate deals 2 extra hits, which deals fire damage equal to 4% to a random enemy. So her ult gains bounce, right? But think about that. But think about using that against a single target enemy. Like, I mean, she's about to hit. Think about that. Using it against like a solo boss, she's about to hit that boss 3 times with this ult. Like, pretty, and that also helps trigger this passive for getting energy off of enemy kills. Now, now let's get to where Himeko gets complicated, because the complication is within the light cones, right? In fact, I don't want to talk about that one first. But immediately people said put this on her. I mean, it's justified. I mean, because, you know, you got the crit damage boost, the skill and ultimate boost, and then, you know, you get this stack, you know, this stacked buff, which you can consume and increases follow-up attack damage. Yeah, extremely strong ability, right? Extremely strong ability. For the longest, this is, you know, what you would use on Himeko. You know, then my boy Argenti, you know, got the crit damage boost here. And then dealing increased damage based on max energy. And then, you know, the max energy increase, you know, obviously has this multiplier here. And a max of 180 energy will be taken into account. But then let's look at Himeko. Her max energy is 120, right? A good light cone for Himeko, but I never really saw this as a direct buff to her. I saw this more as a I used to see this light cone more as a buff to Serval, really. It was like Serval, even Serval's own light cone has similar effects. So I used to always just like write this light cone off as a buff to Serval more than Himeko. But still not really a bad light cone to put on her, but not one I would prioritize. And then let's talk about Night on the Milky Way. Like, people look at this and say, oh, for every enemy on the field, increase attack up to 5. The enemy is afflicted with weakness break. Damage dealt by the wear increases by 30% for 1 turn. Now, this makes sense in the context that, you know, Himeko is reactive to breaking. And she doesn't need to be the one to break the enemy in order to get this buff. Like, what's mine at right now? I think mine is at S4 right now. So, you know, you can see this is some insane value, right? When we started getting more into the break meta, you know, seeing Firefly and then getting Ron May, you know, as we started to put this break meta together, especially Ron May, because like let's take a look at Ron May real quick. Like my Ron May being E2, like, let's look, where's that E2 ability at? Look at this. Allies increase attack by 40% when dealing damage to enemies that are weakness broken. Like, this ability right here synergizes with this light cone. And so there was the case that, okay, maybe you switch Himeko back to this, to make her stronger in break meta. But then, then, you know what happened? I'm gonna tell you what happened. You know what happened? Jade happened. And then we got Hope is Priceless. This Lycon is insane. If you want to focus purely on Himeko damage, we just go here. We get the crit rate boost, and for every crit damage stack. See, every 20 crit damage above 120, follow-up attack damage increases. This is stack up to 4 times. So you need 200% crit damage to cap it. And then when you use basic attack or at the start of battle, the damage dealt by ult or follow-up ignores 20% of target's defense for 2 turns. So, you know, you use basic attack or at the start of battle for 2 turns, your ult and follow-up ignore 20% defense. This is where I spent the rest of my tickets after I tried to pull it. And let me tell you what happened when Jade came out, because I skipped Firefly for Jade. I pulled Jade. I pulled her light cone. And then Argenti was being reran with Jade. And so I was like, you know what? Sure. Let me see if I can roll for her. Let me try to roll Argenti, see if my luck will carry me. You know what happened? I got spooked. I got spooked and got another duper HIMEKO. I believe I put my HIMEKO to E2. And I was like, oh, let me go get a copy of this Lycon. And I pull a copy of this Lycon for HIMEKO, and I'm not taking this off. This Lycon is insane. Because my HIMEKO's crit damage is pretty insane. And when you consider that we have access to Sparkle and we have access to Sunday, like, HIMEKO looks a lot more attractive in the current game state, especially with this Lycon now. And so, you know, because of that, HIMEKO has a strong case to get this ticket, this login ticket. So at the end of the day, who do we get? The answer is get whoever you want. I mean, that may seem like a cop-out answer after spending over an hour talking about this, but that's what it really boils down to. Get whoever you want based on what you feel you need. And look at who you got. Look at where their dupe levels are, if you have any dupes in them, and decide from there. Like, my Bronya is E5. I'm immediately going for the E6. Also, keep in mind, there are a lot of players, even amongst those who started day one with this game, who still have not triggered the 300 standard pulls to guarantee one of these characters. Like, you can take this as a shortcut to getting one of these characters, and use and still climb towards getting the 300 pulls needed to get one of these characters again. Right? I would, if I had to sort of rank these characters in terms of in terms of like where they sit in the current game state, like, I would put I will put Yanqing I will rank Yanqing and BAILU at the bottom. Then GEPARD, then CLARA, then actually I will probably put HIMEKO up before I put WELT. Just because like, we're still using HIMEKO in Pure Fiction and even Memory of Chaos. And she's still really good in other content, like the Simulated Universe stuff. The HIMEKO, WELT, and then BRONYA. I can't stress how valuable BRONYA still is. And even when I was thinking about making a video like this, you know what really had me thinking about it? I went to a thread on the Leaks Reddit, and someone was talking about I think it was Sunday related, and um, it was mentioning that if someone made the comment that Himeko um is better off than Bronya in the current game state, like considering that they were making an argument that we have so many other options for Harmony now, and Himeko is still dominant in modes like Pure Fiction and Recast. Now, sure, we can say something like that, but keep in mind, Bronya's getting her buff. Bronya's getting massively buff across. No, she got buffed from this update, and she's getting buffed on the next update. I would say her value and Himeko's value are closely equal. She and Himeko are closely equal in value for this ticket. Like I said, it really comes down to get who you want. And if you're looking for a dupe to get a character to a dupe level you want, get that. Get that character's dupe. Like, that's the real answer here, who we pick. You pick whoever the hell you want. And you have from December 4th to the end of 3.2 to decide with that ticket. Well, I mean, if you just redeem the tickets, I'm pretty sure they're not gonna. Are they gonna have us redeem the ticket right then and there? I mean, if they have us redeem the ticket right then and there, then yeah, you have until the end of 3.2 to choose. But if we just get this ticket and we can sit on it for a hot minute, then you have more time to think about it. But I wouldn't be so quick to discount Bronya. I wouldn't be so quick to discount Himeko either. But yeah. What do you guys think regarding these characters? Are you still using some of these characters, like even now? Going 2 years into this game, or have you moved on? Are you moving on? Or do you just do you not really see the value in these characters anymore, which would still be fair? I mean, these are the standard characters. These are the characters meant to age out the fastest. Even though the Honkai team has been mostly on point with their power creep in terms of both positive and negative power creep. We have seen some instances of negative power creep. I still say D Hill was a mistake. But yeah, I mean, yeah, that's gonna be it here. So in terms of top characters, Bronya, Himeko, WELT, CLARA, GEPARD, BAILU, and YANQING. That's how I see it. That's how I personally rank who gets priority on this ticket. But get who you need to get. Don't let this video or my opinions about this, let this just be information for you. Let it just be informative and help you to make a decision rather than this basically telling you who to get. Because at the end of the day, get someone you're going to use, or if you like any of these characters personally, like just from a character perspective. It's like we say in Honkai Impact. We don't do that here when it comes to meta. It's like, who you use? We don't do that here. the meta is waifu. The meta is waifu in Honkai Impact. So let that be your guide. And with that being said, I will see you guys in the next one. I'm going to get this uploaded, some eat, and then think about what to talk about next. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.